Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Creative Cosplay Corner. I am Cable Rose, your host and uber fan of everything cosplay. Today, we have our first international guest. Harry comes to us from the United Kingdom, and Harry has quite a knack for what he does. And so let's take a quick entrance and let's get right to it. I'm going to bring Harry on. Harry, come on, tell us about yourself and what's going on.
Hey everyone, it's great to be here. I'm so glad that I get to talk about cosplay and stuff I've been up to, and yeah, thanks to Cable for having me on.
Yep. Well, Harry, listen, so I know we got some time difference and we're going across the pond. I think this is kind of cool. I'm getting all worked up because I got my first international guest. But do me a favor, Harry. So as I came across your cosplay, I started looking at your stuff. How'd you get into it? What was your background with this?
Well, originally, I think my origin story is pretty similar to a lot of people. Halloween, I grew up in the US, hence the accent. Wasn't sure if you could tell.
Okay.
But Halloween used to be a huge deal for me. I didn't used to know what Comic-Con was until I was in like high school. So I would I started off with altering Halloween costumes to try and make them a bit more special or jazzed up, or take one store-bought costume and then completely change it to make my own character. And then in my last year of high school, I made what I consider to be my first proper cosplay of a character design, which was Loki from the Avengers movie from 2012. And that was the first time I'd sort of gone all out with researching details and everything. And it wasn't even for a convention. It was just like, I worked for months on this just for Halloween. And it was, a huge deal for me. And I didn't know anything about sewing or armor making. I was winging it as I went along, but it was sort of the first step in that direction. And then that was the year that I went to my first convention that I found out about them, 2013, I would say. And yeah, I went, didn't dress up, and I went and I felt so underdressed. I wish I had gone in cosplay. It was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. So many people wearing things I recognized and didn't recognize, and it was amazing. And then I moved to the UK for university the next year, and I started going to MCM London, which is the Comic-Con over there. And I sort of did like really chilled dress up things because I didn't have the full cosplay stuff. So I would wear elements that was like, oh, I'm wearing a waistcoat, I'm Frodo Baggins, look, I have a ring around my neck, but I'm just still in like jeans or whatever.
T-shirt, yeah.
And yeah, so I started getting into the cosplay convention scene through The Hobbit, actually. The movies just like really inspired me. The technical aspect of all the costumes and this sort of dwarven culture really drew me in, and so I started taking part in cosplay groups for dwarves, and that was like a huge part of my development. And I only made about one costume per year, but I put so much work into those one costumes and sort of kept sort of updating them, and it was just like a huge part of me learning stuff about cosplay.
So let's talk about that, because you said it right there. You started off, you bought the store bought, then you would tweak it, right? You didn't have any skills. Now I want to talk about like the duration of that, because you went from the store bought and you added some stuff. But I want to showcase now both two things. One, I think we talked about it just a minute ago. You're in that fantasy realm. You like your dragons and your armor and that kind of time frame. So I think I want to showcase that. And then two, now I want to look at the detail, because you just mentioned as well. You said, hey, I'm going to research and do the detail. I want to see what's going in. And I really want to show that, because I'm going to pick a picture here, Harry, and let's talk about this first one. This is, I think, a recent one. So you talked about this type right here and how it's reversible. So do me a favor, what or who is this? Because again, my naivety into the fantasy realm, I don't know a lot about it. So is this a character or somebody you made up?
No, that is Dorian Pavus from the video game Dragon Age Inquisition from BioWare. He is a mage. He is known for sort of being very stylish. He's known for being very showy with his skills. He is not very well trusted in the beginning, so he uses sort of fashion and sarcasm and stuff as a bit of a defense mechanism. And he is just like one of my favorite characters. I just love his character designs. I complain about his outfits all the time because of having to draw them and make them, but ultimately I think they're very aesthetically pleasing. And I just wanted to pay tribute to him.
Yeah, these are awesome. So when I saw this, again, going into your Instagram, those first few pics, I think this is a recent one, but I saw this and then I started noticing, okay, this wasn't just something you probably bought off the shelf. And I started digging around like, yep, this is something he's putting together. And so I really want to see that effort, because I want to talk about something like this. This was a coat that you made?
Yeah.
And we talk about making it. I want to talk about seriously, you went down to the patterns, down to by the way, do you own a thimble?
I do. I don't always use it though. And then I am full of regret.
That's okay. My guest yesterday was talking about not knowing what a thimble was and learning the hard way. And I saw this picture that made me think of that. And then go ahead.
I was going to say, I keep actually losing them and then buying more and then finding them. So I have quite a collection, but I never seem to find them when I need them. It's like the stitch pickers, like that you used to like cut thread with. I always lose those and then buy more. And then there's just I need to keep them all in one place.
So Harry, do me a favor, because down to the pattern, right? Down to the actual hand sewn. And then this is absolutely awesome. So tell me, what was this for, or what character, or was this just because?
This was just because I got just really into historical fashion, actually through research for other cosplays, because I figured old clothing and old techniques, historical outfits were made well and made to last. So if you want to make clothes now or appreciate clothes now, or even look at some ridiculous video game costume design, you can look back in history and be like, okay, how did they make that? How did they make it comfortable? How did they make it last? And so I, by doing a lot of research for cosplays for like dwarves and stuff, where I'm like, okay, how do I make this look historical with historical techniques? Now I just got into like, these clothes look cool, and they it's nice making something that fits correctly. Correctly, exactly. It's very gratifying finishing something and you're like, oh, that's how clothes are supposed to look. That's it's really nice. And then having an extra layer of like knowing that you made it yourself, and
that appreciation,
it's just an extra thing to be proud of.
So let's talk about this. So it does take a while. So Harry, I like this because I had a guest on and they learned me on SCA, Society for Creative Anachronism. You ever heard of this?
I have not actually. What is this?
So, okay, two parts. It is a group. So it's a worldwide group, and it's a realm, kind of what you're talking about. So when you just talked about two things, one, I love history, and you're right. I do like to go, and I'm watching Hamilton. I think it's my fourth viewing of Hamilton.
Oh, nice.
Where I'm into the garb, and I'm into how and what it was meant for and how it was portrayed. And then here we are, 2020, somebody had to make that, but they had to make it, one, so it fits, it's comfortable, and two, they want it to be accurate. So Society for Creative Anachronisms is a group of worldwide people that make and recreate things from certain time zone or certain time frames, but only use the tools and techniques from that time frame.
Very cool.
So I think that might be right up your alley in regards to...
That is right up my alley.
It already is showing in your craft and your abilities. You said 10 years ago you had no abilities, and I'm looking at this now, and this is your abilities. So that's huge of personal growth and experience in just doing this. And then two, I got to ask, do you just got jars of buttons sitting around? Because every seamstress, my mom, all my aunties and uncles, everybody I know, anybody that I walk into, they have jars of buttons. You got jars of buttons sitting around, right?
I don't have jars of buttons. I do, whenever I order something online, I basically save, if it comes in a plastic bag, I basically save that. And so each different item has its own plastic bag, so I just have a bag full of other bags, basically. Yeah. What I used to do is I used to go on big shopping trips to London every sort of few months before a convention. So maybe twice a year, 3 times a year, my cosplay friends and I would get together. And there's this area of London called Goldhawk Road where there's just fabric shop after fabric shop after fabric shop after fabric shop. We'd just go through all of them and we'd bring like a list of things we'd need and then realize, oh, I could use this actually and use this actually, and I guess I'll take this. But a lot of the times it was great for finding like really little things like buttons or trim, not even the main fabric, which we did find, but it's all about the little things that it's a lot harder to find what you need online, where like I really appreciate all the online businesses that are still supplying to cosplayers and tailors and stuff right now. Like I've gotten some amazing things online, but there's something about going into a physical shop and going like, that's it. That is the perfect,
and
like,
touching it and feeling it.
This.
Yes, right. Those attention to details and being able to go into those, like you said it earlier, like a kid in a candy store, right? You're going to walk in and it's like, yes, it's so much going on, because then it turns into something like this. So what is this one here?
This is Crowley from Good Omens. He is played by David Tennant in the show, and he is a demon, and so his thing throughout the show is that he's always like working with / against an angel named Aziraphale. They're sort of trying to constantly like help or tempt humanity, but occasionally cross paths and work together sometimes. And so there's one episode where it just shows them through all these different eras where they kept meeting up because they're like celestial demonic beings. They're timeless. So one episode takes place in the Bastille in France in I think it was 1893. So that's one of his costumes. And the difficult bit about this one was that there's no full body shot in the show. It's shot indoors in a prison with no like lighting apart from what's outside of windows. So basically I had to do a lot of my own research for this to figure out what the rest of his outfit looked like based on little snippets. And I think the most I got from a shot was to his waist, so I could see the bottom of his waistcoat, and that was about it. And otherwise it was just sort of a glint of buttons, because he always wears dark clothes in the show. And so I had to kind of guess, like, is his coat black, or is it brown, or is it this? And so I was fiddling around with it in Photoshop, trying to like brighten it a lot. And so a lot of that ended up being my own historical research and adapting things that would be a bit anachronistic but would fit the character. And so that was a really fun project because it was a challenge. I'd never made a historical coat before. So that, I'm really proud of that one.
Yeah, this one turned out pretty kick-ass. And when I saw one, I was like, man, so I don't know. What's it like? Have you walked a con with this, or have you done anything publicly with this?
No, this was for a convention that was supposed to be in May and was called off because of COVID, as usual. This was, this was actually what the fabric from this was from my very last shopping trip, which was like to London to get all the fabric for the convention, because it was like 3 months in advance. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. Lockdown happened a week later. So luckily I'd just gotten a huge fabric haul, and I'm like, okay, I have no excuse not to just make the whole thing, I guess. I can't put it off. I can't procrastinate. I can't wait till the week before the con to do this. I might as well just like put the effort in. And it was kind of a good distraction from everything for a while. It gave me something to like really look forward to with my days. And I had enough fabric left over from the coat to actually use for Dorian's tunic underneath those reversible robes. The purple
Okay.
is the same purple fabric because I like to utilize scraps from other projects and sort of reduce fabric waste.
Is this the one you're talking about or no?
Yes, that is it.
Well, that's where we're going next. So it's a good tie-in and
Nice.
you set me up. So going from was it Good Omens?
Good Omens, yes.
Good Omens. And I'm a David Tennant fan, right? He's a Doctor Who. Is that?
Yeah.
How do I get that right?
Yep.
Not going to get my British stuff correct. I want to insult
right.
you, right? But David Tennant, so I thought that was a great one because I've seen the trailers. I've seen the commercials for Good Omens. I haven't watched it yet, but I know exactly what you're talking about. And so setting that up for that actual cosplay, I love it. Hey, I got scraps, but I'm not going to go to waste. What is this? Where did this come from?
In Dragon Age, you can customize your own outfits where there's sort of a base design, but it looks a bit different on every character. And for Dorian, this particular outfit had this weird overlap tunic wrap thing, and yeah, it was probably my biggest design challenge, figuring out how it practically went together and how to make like compromises on whether it's going to be quick release or like, should I add zippers, should I add hooks or buttons, how easily can I get out of this?
Yes.
Because that's always something you have to think about. It's not always about just how the final thing will look. It's about how comfortable am I going to be in this? Can I get out of it if I need to? What if this breaks? So I actually used my Crowley waistcoat pattern as a very loose inspiration for the wrap. So I used the basic pieces of that and then just sort of like drew extra parts and did extra measurements and added onto it. And yeah, that's another thing where historical stuff comes in handy. If you have a base knowledge of how something theoretically works, you can do some trial and error from that base, and it makes it a lot smoother process.
So I got to tell you, I appreciate both parts of that. You said, you said, okay, is it going to look good, or do I also want to be able to like be moved, move this? And so I hear that from some of my guests sometimes, and like you're right, is it a quick release? Can I actually just and get out if I have to, or am I going to be in this for the next 6 hours and have to figure it out? So I want to talk about your attention to detail, because the cowl or the plated over the shoulder, and then this here. Now, when I started going through these, and I started pulling these up. So obviously, you've got both the hand stitching, and are you a machine stitcher as well?
Yeah, so whatever it calls for.
Okay, because then the details of this is fantastic. Because then, like I said, what is this and who is this? But what's it called? Behind you, what's your armor sitting on? What's the?
Oh, the mannequin.
The mannequin. I couldn't think of the word. But the mannequin here, and as it sits up, I mean, you can just tell what was put into this. And again, you had the time and you wanted to put some effort into this. So this was also during COVID? This was also during your break?
Yeah. These, do you mean the armor or the
one
tunic?
Here, yes.
Oh, yeah, that was also during COVID. Once I finished my Crowley cosplay, I hadn't actually planned on making a Dorian cosplay. I was just sort of looking at what I had at home and what I could reuse from other projects and figuring out, like, if I'm going to make this, how much extra would I have to buy? And then luckily I was able to, all of the fabric was fabric I had at home already that I wanted to reuse. I was trying to sort of cut down on my stock because I have a habit of collecting fabric. I think a lot of people who make costumes
don't worry. We have a whole room in my mom's house with nothing but fabric. Yes.
Yeah. So I was looking through stuff I had, projects that I'd made but wasn't too happy with and wanted to utilize again. So I sort of went through and went, realistically, is this something I can do? I mean, I have the time, and ended up finding a bunch of other stuff, like the leather underneath I'll call it a pauldron, I guess, the leather, and actually the silver scales were made from trousers that I'd made for this Krem cosplay with the armor that I took apart because they weren't comfortable, and I realized, like, even though they look good, I don't want to wear these. So I took them apart and then cut scales out of them and spray painted them silver. And basically, like the belt across the front is the waistband of the original trousers. So I like to reuse basically anything that is reusable. Yeah. So and
repurpose it, and then you found a new home for it in regards to, like you said, the waist, the trousers belt, or the plating here. And the plating, you said you spray paint. This looks fantastic. So when I walked up on this picture, I was like, man, this is kick ass, right? So you've got the sewing, you've got the eye, you've got the craft and the passion for it. But then this is new to me. And in the last 20 years, foam and foam armor have really become not a standard, but very popular because of how you can use it. So I want to talk about some of your armor. Let's talk about this. So what is this like?
To wear? Or to be
anything. What is this like? Because what a cool picture. First off, you guys in England, you guys always get the best backdrops and the best pictures you can get. I'm in a street with cars driving down it, and you've got these epic shots. So don't get me wrong, that helps. But the armor's kick ass. Tell me about this armor, it is, what you did here. Yeah, well,
first, that was taken around this time last year, actually. And I'll credit the photographer, my friend, The Blue Sparkle on Instagram, who we did some cosplay multi-character shots. They dressed up as well, and we took some shots at the beach because one of the locations in the Dragon Age games is a rainy coastal area. So we thought it would be cool to do some location shots. As for being in the armor, it is amazing. You instantly feel powerful, which is kind of ironic because you're wearing foam and you are very conscious of it breaking. Like if I go to a convention, I'm always like, don't you dare knock into me. But it's really, really cool. You can just feel your confidence building the longer you wear it. And it's not very heavy. The actual heaviest part of that entire costume is the chainmail. The armor is actually really lightweight. It's all right to just wear around. I think the most tiring part comes from the movement limitations and not being able to really stretch, because even though it's not heavy, you can't move your arms up very far. Like I can't do this. I kind of can go up to here. So despite limitations, if you learn to work around them, then it's actually fine. It's easy to get on and off. Like I was able to sort of take my armor in the car to there's like some picnic benches on the cliff and stuff, and we all were just sort of putting our armor on. And I designed it so I can put it on myself, but it goes quicker with other people there, just to make sure everything's like all the Velcro's in place, all the buckles are done up, and it looks even, and it's just really cool experience. I love any opportunity to wear it.
Well, I got to tell you, one, your weathering, your texturing, the armor itself turned out fantastic. But what I really found interesting about this particular one, you have both. So you've got both the armor and the leather part of this. So I always think of, because like the back here, the back shows a little bit more. So now I'm a big How to Train Your Dragon fan. I've always enjoyed those films. And when they start fixing and working together and they start having all their apparatus and stuff, there is some, and most of it's leather, but there is some where I could see some of the guys that have armor and some of the guys that have leather, but you've blended this amazing, Harry. So I thought this was a kick-ass one. And if I go back, I think this is sort of the ideal. Is this where this came from? This is the game, right?
That is, yes. So on the left there, I'm not sure which side. Yeah, that one. So that's Cremisius Aclassi. He actually comes from the same place as Dorian, but they're different social classes. He doesn't have magic, so he has to sort of fight a bit harder to get recognition in his homeland. He's a soldier. He escaped from a bad situation back home and found a mercenary company where he could rise through the ranks and was respected, and he's really beloved in the game. He's an NPC, but yeah, he's gained quite a following, and it feels really good to represent him. It's really, yeah.
Well, so let's talk about it. I know these don't mash up, but you just said it. I want to represent them, and I think anything and everything, this picture says exactly that. You're a badass. He rose through the ranks. Is this the Game of Thrones chair? Is that what this is?
It is, yes. That was MCM London the last time it was on in October. So they had a big Iron Throne there.
Dude, seriously, because like Kick-Ass, right? You put it on, you just said it yourself. You feel confident, you feel powerful, and then you're trying to portray and represent the character itself, which is also a badass. And this, seriously, this epic pose on this chair was just badass. I was like, all right, he's doing this right. This is how you do it. When you do it, this is how you do it. So, so do me a favor. So Harry, we've done a little bit of everything. We've got your origin story. I'm always about origin stories, right? Like, how did you get into this? We understand your attention to detail, because not only historically, but the craft itself and actually doing it. And then I've seen your interest in, like, whether it's a character, because you could have just said, oh, it's some guy from a video game, but you didn't. You told me, oh, it's him. He did this. He rose through the ranks. Like, you were actually trying to understand the character so that you can portray him, right? So I think it's awesome. I'm in the middle of Texas and you're in England, and we're here having a chat this morning, just sitting around bullshitting about, like, literally what we get into and what we do, right? So you've come quite a way in just those 10 years. You said you bought a Halloween costume off the shelf and you just put some stuff to it, and now you're literally, I mean, over your right shoulder, this is an epic shot. Like I told you when we came on, you did a good job setting this up aesthetically. You've got your staff, you've got your armor, and you're just sitting there like, this is it, right? So I talk too much, and I apologize. I'm always talking too much. But I always give the opportunity for my guests to say what they want to say. What do you want to tell? And I say your audience, because this is your audience. What do you want to tell your audience about you, the world of cosplay, or anything? You have this forum, and this is your platform. Is there anything you want to tell the people out there?
I want to say, like, that something that is big in the cosplay community is perfectionism and trying to achieve very specific looks for characters and trying to achieve exact details. And I think that's super admirable. But if something in a character design isn't comfortable to wear, you're completely allowed to adapt it to your own needs. Trying to achieve accuracy can be really, really, really rewarding, but if, like, it's not comfortable, then it's like, the whole point of cosplay is to have fun, and if you're, like, really miserable wearing something, it takes away a bit of that fun, and you don't want to sort of spend your whole time in cosplay wishing you weren't in cosplay. So yeah, cut yourself some slack if you have to change stuff. Like, cut some corners with design, or if you look at something and go, that will not work, like, it's okay to make it into something that will work. I think that's something I took a while to learn, because I wanted everything to be exact, but there's ultimately unless you're doing, like, a cosplay contest where they analyze every single detail up close, that's a bit different. But yeah, the whole point is to have fun. So if you're not accurate, just embody the character how you see fit and to have fun, and that's what it should be.
Harry, I think it's great. Seriously, man, when you and again, I got it. There it went again. I got my chill bumps. No, seriously, because, I mean, think about it. You're right. There are a lot of different levels of cosplay. And I do. I appreciate the ones that are putting those efforts in and they want to go to that level. But at the same time, if I walk in and I've got a off-the-shelf Halloween costume, it's no big deal. Enjoy it. Run with it. And if you do want to put on something, you're right. I couldn't imagine spending 6 hours in something miserable and like, enjoying it, but not enjoying it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and if you want to make something that's very uncomfortable and wear it for 3 hours at a con and then take it off, like, that's fine. That's what you want to do. But if you want to make something and you know you're going to be in it for, like, 14 hours and you end up just wanting to sit in a corner and take everything off, then like there's ways around that. There's ways of adapting. Like do historical research for how people wore these like really bulky looking clothes for days in a row, because you'll learn a lot of techniques for how to make things more comfortable or make it fitted to yourself. There's no reason you can't adapt stuff.
I like that word, adapt, right? Because the whole world gets thrown at us and we have to adapt to everything around us. And I think that's a great way to approach not only cosplay, but life, right? I mean, that's what it is. We'll throw you a bunch of curveballs and you got to adapt to figure it out. And I think that's a great way to look at the world of cosplay. Harry, it's been a blast having you on. And I appreciate you coming on. I know we played some phone tag and we tried to figure out a good time and date. I think this worked out perfect. It's my first international guest, so I kind of feel special. I'm like, ooh. And then Harry, I appreciate you. I've never been to England, but my wife, I don't know what this is. It's not a disorder, but she has the ability that as soon as she hears a British accent, she has to talk British for the next 5 or 10 hours.
Oh my God.
I don't know what that is, but we want to go to England. If we ever go to England, I'm going to look you up and we can all go get a pint and go down and have a good time and just chit chat and hang
Hell yeah. Oh, I wish I had my tankard here. I could be like, yeah.
Cheers, right? Yeah, we could do that one. But but seriously, it was a blast to have you. I really appreciate you spending the time and the effort to show us your craft and your seriously, you got some hell of skills in there into putting those things together, man. So they're pretty cool.
Thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure being able to talk about what I do. Sometimes I get really in my own head about what I actually produce, and being able to just acknowledge the different projects I make is really nice for me, because sometimes I finish something and then just immediately move on to the next one, and I don't take a lot of time to reflect on stuff I should be proud of achieving. So it's really nice to sort of reflect on that with you. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. And to showcase you and showcase your, like you just said, you put all that effort in, and don't get me wrong, you love it, but you're already on to the next project. I think a lot of cosplayers are that way as well. So as myself, maybe I don't get out every day to cosplay. I appreciate the fact that you shared with us your craft so that we could share that with everybody else. So thank you for being here. Harry, it was a blast. You guys, we're going to make sure we tag everything, and we'll get you guys connected to Harry, and so you can see what he's got going on. This is another episode of Creative Cosplay Corner. I'm Cable Rose. This has been the Hatted Hedgehog. Is that correct?
Yep.
The Hatted Hedgehog. We're going to make sure we connect everybody, and we will see you guys on the flip side.